Hello, welcome to the PhoneWord Workshops Global Directory Workshop on Thursday, August 27th, 2020. It's 9 a.m. Arizona time or Pacific time. And this is a weekly workshop where we will be doing tutorials and explaining various dimensions of the PhoneWord Workshops Global Directory. My name is Jay Carpenter. I'm founder of PhoneWord Workshops, and I'm a member of PhoneWord Workshops, LLC. So these are designed to be fairly short sessions, a half hour or less, where we will show you how to use and create various elements of the directory and basically how to get started in this new realm of decentralized peer-to-peer connectivity using mesh networking and the decentralized web 3.0. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start a screen share and share my screen. We'll go into the presentation. So today we're going to be focusing on how to claim a listing on the directory. Now, what do we mean by claim a listing? So the directory allows you to create identifiers and addresses in this decentralized peer-to-peer web network that you pick. And right now, there are two categories of, or two communities that can create listings on the directory, and we'll go into that in a bit. But basically, you can create a phrase that suits your particular needs, and you do that by selecting a particular lookup number that spells that particular phrase. And you can also create another listing that's basically either a random selection, or might be associated with your telephone number that you currently use. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here. The process is basically these steps to claim a listing. And by claiming a listing, what that means is that you can sort of stake a claim on a particular listing. That claim might be subject to dispute at some point. However, the longer you have that claim, the stronger your claim becomes. It's sort of like staking a claim back in the old homesteading days when people would, go out and claim, I think it was 160 acres. And basically, if they lived on it long enough, it became theirs. This process works somewhat similar to that. So first of all, you should think about what two listings would you prefer to have? What phrase would be most interesting or useful to you or your business or your endeavors? Or what phrase might you be interested in relisting on the marketplace or putting some services behind and then relisting it? So think about that. And then you should check and see if the listing is available. And right now that consists of looking at the preliminary directory data, which is on the GitHub page, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then, excuse me, I'm going to go on mute for just a moment. Actually, I'm not going to go on mute. I'm sorry. So then gathering the listing information, we'll talk about that, what that entails, submitting a pull request on our GitHub page. And if you're not familiar with pull requests, don't worry. Your other alternative than the do-it-yourself claiming a listing is to contact a registrar, and we'll show you how to do that as well. So the benefits of this is you can start to create a brand or a consistent address for yourself that others can use and connect with you on a peer-to-peer basis. And this peer-to-peer basis is outside of the normal some of the concerns that you might have in using the domain name system and using browsers and so forth. This is peer-to-peer encrypted connection that is not being tracked by any kind of outside sources, centralized sources that might be trying to sell you something or tracking your movements and so forth. So we'll have an ability to do some questions at the end, but please keep in mind that the presentation you're seeing right now is a working draft, and it's subject to change as we develop and continue to refine the services associated with the directory. So checking the listing availability, first of all, is to check the latest version of the directory. And the latest version of the directory right now is on our GitHub page, which we'll reference in a bit. The other is to Google your phrases. So see who else might be using the particular phrase. So let's say you were interested in 1111 blockchain, which somebody's already claimed, but let's say you wanted to claim that listing. You should, check and see if who else is using the term blockchain and the DNS and, other rounds. Now that's a pretty broad phrase, so you're going to see a lot. But the other thing is to check in the whois listings on the domain name system, and you can do that by going to a domain name system registrar like GoDaddy Network Solutions. These are not recommendations; they're only examples. And find the whois, and then put in that particular phrase. See what comes up. You can also check trademark and trade name registries, like at your state level and the federal level in the United States. So that's the first thing. See who else is using this type of phrase and so forth. The next step is to gather your listing information. And right now that primarily consists of your interplanetary file system, or IPFS, node ID. So if you're running an IPFS node or peer, then you can just simply type in IPFS ID and information comes up. But basically what we're looking for is something similar to what you see below, where there's a big long identifier along with some internet information, usually. And in this case, it's the IPv4 address 24.255.107.136. So that might be all great to you, no problem. Don't worry about it. We're going to show you another way to create your listing that's where you don't need to know any of this stuff. So this is an example of some of the listings that are currently in the directory. 1111 PhoneWord workshops, 1-800-PhoneWord, 1-833-Hollywood are just a few of the very beginning examples. And you can see the IPFS peer ID information that's associated with that. So this is the global directory, and it's only 2 days worth of information from early August, but it is the start of the global directory. So this is our particular listing, which is 1111 PhoneWord workshops, and we run a pub/sub channel according to this topic name, and you can generally send us a message on the pub/sub channel if you know how to do that, and we will respond. So the basics of claiming a listing is to submit a pull request to the GitHub repository that I'll show you in a moment, and include your IPFS peer ID and path. And then if you want to disclose what your lookup number spells, then you should also include your phone word or the phrase that you're associating with that lookup number. So here's an example. Here is the GitHub repository, which is at github.com/phoneWordWorkshops.com/HackFS. And then here is an example of the dial-1833 Hollywood example. So you should basically look and see if the listing of your choice is available in the preliminary given ranges. And also think about which one of the prefixes might you be interested in for your random or registration or listing that's derived from your cell number. So we will have a template available soon that you can take a look at that shows you all the information that goes into the listing that is available on the GitHub repository page that I just showed you if you want to take a look at that. So you should also be thinking about a list price for your listing. So if you had something like 1111 blockchain, what would you be willing to instantly sell that for? Might not be $1,000 at this point with a directory, might be something less, but $50, $100, what would that be? Because we will be including these listing prices or an ask price that would make the listing available immediately, or at least the next day, for somebody willing to pay that price. And we'll be talking about that more in the future in these workshops. So your other non-technical way to claim a listing is to contact a registrar. And right now, Desert Blockchain at desertblockchain.com is the prototype registrars. There will be registrars that will be added in the future. And there is an opportunity for certain entities that meet certain criteria to become registrars for the directory. But basically, if you don't know anything about networking, you don't know anything about IPFS, you don't know the interplanetary file system, if you don't know anything about peer-to-peer, you just say, hey, this is interesting, just make it work, then you can contact a registrar, and for particular service fees, you can have that knowledgeable registrar create your claim for listings and manage your listings over time in the directory. And we'll be having some sessions on the workshops about what's entailed in becoming a registrar, operating as a registrar, using a registrar, and so forth. So who's eligible at this point to claim listings? Well, the participants that were in the HackFS.com event that just occurred from July 6th to August the 6th, they are eligible to claim 2 listings in the directory at least until September 30th. And then Desert Blockchain citizens are also eligible, and you can go to Patreon to find out about becoming a Desert Blockchain citizen, which is basically $10 a month. So we'll be talking about that more as well in upcoming workshops. So we will have sections that will highlight every week that shows current ask prices for particular listings. And this is just a placeholder for that, but it's good to keep in mind that this will be available, and the marketplace is a key dimension and dynamic for this directory to work. So you can look for your listing template in the directory once you've either contacted a registrar or submitted a pull request. Within a day or two, your listing will be listed as a pending listing, basically. And it doesn't mean it's active yet. It has to go through a vetting process by validators. And then once it goes through that process and it's included in the directory, then it will be a valid claim that you can start to use with a high degree of confidence that you can use it without interference from others. So just please keep in mind that this is an experimental project. All listings are subject to change or removal at any time because we are in a prototype and basically alpha or beta mode at this point. You should use this at your own risk and there's no warranty of service quality. And this project basically is for educational purposes only. There are, for the communications part of this is peer-to-peer. There are no E911 services associated with any of these communications. And it's basically just similar to if you were creating a internet domain name registration in the domain name system, which does not involve any kind of E911 services. So that's basically the end of our session for today. And you can contact us on IPFS PubSub at 1111 PHONEWORD-workshops. Just put in after the $ in single quotes, I have a question, we'll get back to you. You can also contact us via desertblockchain.com and stay tuned for additional workshops that will be happening on a weekly basis every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time or noon Eastern. And right now that translates into 9 a.m. Arizona time, which is where we are currently located. So stop the screen share. So thank you for your interest. There are dimensions and considerations and benefits for you to start to at least look at what this could mean for you and possibly your business and your endeavors by using this peer-to-peer mesh network that is under your control, where you control your data, you control who you're connecting with, and you also know that it is encrypted and that nobody else is listening in unless they're dialed into your particular PhoneWord workshops global directory listing. So again, my name is Jay Carpenter. Thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for additional topics. You can go to our YouTube channel at phonewordworkshops.com and see all the workshops that we have created so far and will be creating in the future. You should subscribe to that channel and then you'll get updates as they're created. So thank you for your time and attention, and please continue to take a look and think about what would be a valuable phrase for you to incorporate into your activities, your communications that's operating on a peer-to-peer basis in the decentralized web 3.0. Goodbye.